We all say we want strong female characters. Powerful, capable, confident. Hollywood's been trying to deliver that for years. But here's the problem. Hollywood keeps writing strong women like they're a product. And then an animated K-pop demon hunting movie shows up and does it better. Just like that. Not with a speech, not with a pose, with a burp. Stay until number 1 because the real secret isn't the burp. It's why the finale hits harder than most girl power moments in live-action blockbusters. Hollywood thinks strong women have to look cool every second. And it's not just looks, it's the entire vibe. The perfect face problem is when a character is never allowed to be visually honest. No ugly crying, no red sweaty face or puffy eyes, no weird angles. What if the obsession with looking cool is exactly why these characters feel so flat and lifeless? Because if you're never allowed to look ridiculous, you're never allowed to be vulnerable. And if you're never vulnerable, the audience can't relax around you. They can't attach. In K-pop Demon Hunters, these girls look gorgeous. And then 2 seconds later, they look absolutely unhinged. Weird anime expressions, goofy faces, full goblin mode. There's a specific kind of relief when a movie lets women be visually unflattering in a way that's not mean, not humiliating. You can tell the story isn't terrified of them having bodies, faces, and emotions. And still, or because of that, you can't help but like and admire them. And that's the thing. Being goofy isn't the opposite of strength. It's evidence that the movie isn't treating female like a statue in a museum that can't be disturbed. If she can't be weird, silly, awkward, and insecure sometimes, she simply can't be human. A lot of modern empowered leads aren't written like people. They're written like a studio memo. You can practically see the bullet points floating over their heads. Independent, confident, always right. Trauma backstory, but only the kind that makes them more competent. Funny but never cringe. Attractive, but never sexualized in a way that might make someone argue on the internet. Flawed, but only in the quirky way that still makes them impressive. And here's why that kills the story. It turns strength into a brand identity instead of a lived experience. Because when your character journey is, I was already born with superpowers and naturally I'm the best at everything, that's not personal growth. If there's no internal struggle, no doubts, and no problems to overcome, what would be the whole point anyway? And this is exactly where a lot of girl boss writing goes wrong. It's not in writing powerful women in itself, it's that the script tries to prove it by any means. Paradoxically, by removing the backside of power, the friction, the failure, the inner conflict. The result is that the character is technically strong, but dramatically empty. But every good story needs tension and development. It needs contradiction to evolve. It needs a moment where the character wants 2 things at once, makes a poor choice or does something wrong, and has to live with it. K-pop Demon Hunters gives the trio competence. Yes, they can perform, they can fight, they look absolutely amazing, and they're celebrities with an actual job. But it also gives them the stuff that a checklist heroine is never allowed to have, like a silly schoolgirl's crush, or a double chin, or the moment where you want to be a good friend, but you also want to be right. And that's the secret reason forced empowerment feels so off. It's trying to manufacture the feeling of triumph without earning the emotional steps that make triumph truly deserved. Because strength without struggle is just decoration. You know the scene. The movie pauses mid-chaos to say, "Look, women." And I get why these scenes exist. For decades, women were sidelined, reduced to love interest, background decoration, or the one girl. So the industry overcorrects. It tries to prove it's changed by shouting the message in your face. But here's the problem. When empowerment is treated like a separate event, it stops feeling like empowerment and starts feeling like a showpiece. Like the movie is pausing to tap the sign. What if those moments aren't empowerment? They're applause traps. Because applause traps don't require character work. They don't require relationships. They don't require setup. They're designed to get a reaction with the least amount of narrative effort. A lineup shot, a swelling music cue, a one-liner that sounds like it was written for a trailer. And you can feel it. The audience feels when a moment is grown in a lab instead of grown inside the story. No build-up, no personal stakes. K-pop Demon Hunters basically solves this by refusing to separate girl power from the plot. Huntrix's power isn't a pose, it's a system. The core around which the entire narrative is built. They aren't powerful because the camera says so. They're powerful because of their unique personalities, life experiences, and most important of all, because of their choice to stay together as one unit. Hollywood's current rulebook is weirdly simple. If she's feminine, she can't be taken seriously. So what happens? Writers either strip femininity away completely, or they treat it like a joke, like a flaw, or something the character grows out of on her path to becoming legitimate. As if the only valid strength is masculine-coded behavior, stoic, aggressive, emotionally sealed. But K-pop Demon Hunters does the opposite. They fight demons while fixing their makeup, and the movie treats that as skill, not a punchline. And that matters because it's not just about eyeliner, it's about permission. Permission for a character to be soft and loud, glamorous and gross, affectionate and furious, cute and terrifying. Permission to be many things at once without the script punishing her for it. She's allowed to be girly and lethal. The power isn't, she's basically a guy now. It's, she's herself and still unstoppable. And there's another layer here that your transcripts nailed. The movie doesn't sexualize them the way a lot of action stories do. The movie doesn't need to rely on cheap visual clues to establish its characters as real women. They're idols in sparkly outfits, yes, but the framing is about performance, friendship, and power, and about glitter not canceling out competence. Femininity isn't the flaw, fear is. A lot of girl power stories try to lift women up by making men useless. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's just disappointing. Because if the only way a woman looks strong is if every man around her is an idiot, you didn't write strength. You wrote a rigged game. And it also creates this weird vibe where equality turns into revenge fantasy. Like the goal is to humiliate men on screen to make up for real-world inequality. That might feel satisfying for half a second, but it doesn't build a believable world, and it definitely doesn't create interesting dynamics. K-pop Demon Hunters does a great job here. The Saja boys are talented, charismatic, annoyingly good. And that's why the rivalry is fun. It's competitive, comedic, and weirdly respectful. The kind of rivalry that makes you train harder, not roll your eyes, because it's two forces with real power colliding. The Saja boys aren't a punching bag, they're really a force to be reckoned with. They're seductive, polished, and strategic. That makes every Huntrix success feel like it costs something. This is also why the girl group versus boy band parallel is so smart. It lets the story talk about gendered expectations without turning into a lecture. You're watching two sides of the same entertainment machine, two kinds of pressure, two kinds of performance, except one side is literally demon-coded. Imagine you're Zoe. You want to hate the boy band, but their song is catchy, their choreography is clean, and your knees are betraying you to the beat. Is that weakness? If anything, acknowledging a great performance is a sign of real strength. Real equality doesn't need humiliation. Here's the thing, Hollywood writes women like they're walking PR statements. So when a movie lets women eat like monsters and make gross noises, it feels illegal. And I'm not kidding, this tiny moment is doing a ton of work. Because so much of female empowerment in mainstream media still relies on outdated gender roles. Be strong, but not too loud. Be confident, but not too much. Be funny, but not messy. Be sexy, but never needy. Be powerful, but still palatable. So when Huntrix is allowed to be gross, just a little, it signals something huge. The movie is not afraid of women being embodied, being physical, having appetites, taking up space. What if the smallest unladylike moment is the biggest sign a writer actually sees women as people? Huntrix doesn't start with a speech about empowerment. It starts with carb loading, inside jokes, chaos energy, and the vibe of, yeah, we're saving the world, but also pass the noodles. That matters because it tells the audience. These characters exist when the camera isn't trying to prove a point. They aren't performing empowerment, they're just living. Imagine you're Mira. You just had a light snack before the show, you're about to perform on a big stage, and out of your mouth comes a sound that could legally qualify as a seismic event. And you know what? It's totally okay. Nobody shames you. You keep going. And that no shame, no apology, no "we can't show that," is what makes the moment feel oddly radical. Not because burping is feminism, because it's a sign the movie trusts women to be human without turning it into a moral lesson. The burp isn't the joke, it's the triumph. Hollywood keeps trying to show girl power with moments that feel like a billboard. But K-pop demon hunters build something better, a team that feels real. This is where the movie goes from cute and clever to, oh wait, this actually understands something. Because real friendship isn't constant agreement. Real friendship is friction. Real friendship is the moment where you love someone and you're furious with them in the same breath. Real friendship is saying the wrong thing, then coming back. Real friendship is not being perfect together. And this is why the Rumi storyline hits. Not because of the secret identity twist, but because the movie makes the secret emotional. Rumi is hiding something huge. She's part demon. And when that secret comes out, it doesn't turn into a clean inspirational speech. It turns into distrust, anger, hurt. Because the actual betrayal isn't what she is. It's that she felt she had to hide it from her friends. And the movie doesn't sanitize that. It lets the fallout be messy. There's a bigger metaphor underneath. Demons aren't just monsters here. They're the part of you that whispers, if they knew the whole truth, they'd leave. So when the finale lands, it doesn't land because the script said, this is empowering. It lands because the story set up the emotional math. Imagine you're Rumi in the final battle. Your friends are mad. The world is burning. The Demon King is basically telling you, see, you don't deserve to be loved. And for 1 second, you almost believe him. Then Mira and Zoe show up. Not to pose, not to preach, to sing with you, to support you, to remind you, you don't have to be perfect, nobody is, but together we can create something big. And that's the key difference between forced girl power and earned power. Earned power is relational. It's not a slogan, it's an action. It's people showing up when it costs something. It's choosing each other when it would be easier to split. Even the fact that the climax is musical matters. In this story, voice is literally power. Harmony literally creates protection. The thing that saves the world isn't an individual power-up, it's synchronization. And when the trio locks back in, it's not the resolving of a classic fairy tale misunderstanding. It's a conscious choice to reconnect, to forgive, to let someone come home. That's real girl power. Not performance, just support.